Noriko's Dinner Table is the much-awaited sequel to the insanely popular cult film Suicide Club. However, upon watching the film, it becomes quite clear that this is not really a sequel per se, but rather a companion piece that offers some new perspectives into the main story of the original film. More importantly, the film stands on its own as an entirely independent piece of cinema. Director Sion Sono has crafted perhaps his most human and touching work to date, and while it lacks the shock value of Suicide Club, it feels like a much more mature and thought-out movie. There are two things viewers should know before watching Noriko's Dinner Table. 1. This is not a horror film. The cover of the film would lead one to expect the same sort of bloody and shocking scenes found in Suicide Club, but this movie is very much so a drama with only the occasional elements of violence. 2. As I stated earlier, this is not really a sequel to Suicide Club. While it's true that this film takes place before, during, and after the events of the first film, if you're going into the movie expecting all of the unsolved mysteries of Suicide Club to be answered, you will be sorely disappointed. Instead, Noriko's Dinner Table is more concerned with dealing with its own unique themes and offering new perspectives on how to view the actions of the first film. Without spoiling the movie, it revolves around 4 central characters. There is Noriko and her sister Yuka, who live out in the country alongside with their father and mother. There is also a mysterious girl named Ueno Station 54, whom Noriko meets in a chat room. At the start of the film, Noriko has left home to meet Ueno Station 54, and the movie is then told from the perspectives of the main characters. The film deals with themes of identity and connection with others, as viewers saw in Suicide Club, but this time, the importance and problems of the modern family are explored in great detail. I found this to be Sono's most personal and moving film in that it doesn't rely on the gore scenes from Suicide Club or the sex from Strange Circus to hook viewers into the story. Instead, we come to care about the characters on screen and their unique journeys and struggles. The acting is all very convincing, and I personally thought the father gave the best performance in the film, given the circumstances surrounding him and his family. However, all the actors and actresses did a superb job, and in some ways, because the acting is so believable, this film is often considered to be a much scarier movie than Suicide Club, which was criticized for being campy or relying too much on shock value.
実は例のプラットフォームの事件の前夜、赤い丸が54増えてたの。予告よ。予告。
予告？予告って自殺の？
そう。テロかもよ。
うわ、なんか変なの出てきた。
Another very important point of this film is that it is over 2.5 hours long. Personally, I'm not a fan of long movies, and I start to lose my interest in many films after about an hour and a half, but the emotional content was just so rich and the story so engaging that I found the time to pass quickly for the most part. While I would argue that the film could have been edited down to a shorter run length and still maintained its core message or themes, it was by no means unbearable. The DVD has been released by Tide Point Pictures, and I was pleased with the final product. This was my first DVD from them, and overall the presentation was great and there were plenty of extras, including a very informative interview with the director who explains the process of how this film was adapted from a novel he wrote, which in itself started life as an adaptation of the original Suicide Club movie he directed. He also states that he wants to make a third film that answers all of the questions and mysteries of the original Suicide Club film, but he feels that Noriko's story is complete, and by the end of the film, I would agree. If you were put off by the amount of mystery left over from Suicide Club, then perhaps the more conclusive Noriko would sit better with you. Going back to the DVD, there is also an extensive making of, director, DVD introduction, theatrical trailer, and trailers for other Tide Point Picture releases. My only complaint was that the subtitles seemed to be a bit on the small size, and so watching this on a smaller TV was a bit difficult. And maybe there were 1 or 2 grammar mistakes in the subtitles, but overall the DVD was quite nice indeed. While Strange Circus remains my favorite work from Sono because of its elaborate costumes and set design, as well as the risque sexual subject matter, I still really enjoyed Noriko for being an inclusive and mature drama that told a very interesting and important story about the problems facing not only individuals, but families as well. Suicide Club fans who enjoyed the first film more so for the messages it portrayed rather than the gore scenes, which, by the way, the most famous of which it plays an important part in this film, will probably enjoy Noriko's Dinner Table as it further explores explores many of the same themes and builds upon them. Both movies showcase some very real and sad problems that, while are certainly true for Japan, are also happening all over the world. Overall, I enjoyed this movie and see it as a great companion piece to the first film, and it's a very original and poetic work from an exciting Japanese director. See you next time.
これどこの制服だかわかる？
全然わからなかった。
わかんないよね。そりゃそうだ。だってこれコスプレだもん。